What's going on, people, and welcome to Man Knows Football. You are here with Guni for another video, and in this video we're going to be discussing the major changes that are happening in the staff room at Chelsea Football Club, the massive shake-up, the huge headlines that we got yesterday. Obviously, we know Marina Granovskaia will be leaving Chelsea Football Club alongside Bruce Buck. With Bruce Buck, we know the date he's going to be leaving. That is the 30th of June. He will only have an advisory role, so he will not be able to make any executive decisions, and I do think that at this point it's time that we do move on from Bruce Buck. In recent times he has had his controversies, but he has also overseen a our most historic period at Chelsea Football Club, so he has also done a lot of good things as well, so we do have to give him thanks. Marina Granovskaia, however, may be leaving sooner rather than later. The date we do not know, but it is being said in the media that she may head out the door before Bruce Buck leaves, so that's not really much time. It could happen anytime this week, so we got to stay tuned and see what happens there. But big up everybody that did tune into the video that I did do yesterday. If you haven't seen it, make sure you do check it out. I will link it in this video once up here and again at the end of the video. And before I forget, at the end of this video I will be discussing what I have heard on Ouzman DembELE. Well, not just what I've heard, but what has been reported on Ouzman DembELE. A little update, a little interesting, because a lot of people were panicking on the video that he did do, but we're going to discuss that towards the end, so make sure you do stay until the end. But smash that subscribe button if you are new. Also smash that like button and leave your thoughts down there in the comments as always. Now, let's get into today's news. So obviously off the back of the Marina Granovskaia and Bruce Buck's exit stories, there is a massive vacuum on the backroom staff at Chelsea Football Club. We do know Todd Boehly has stepped into Marina's position temporarily, but today we have been linked with two very impressive names who I believe could revolutionise Chelsea Football Club and could push us to a very positive future that could have us challenging on all fronts. And those two names are Michael Edwards and Paul Mitchell. Yes, I have done some research for some of you guys who do not know the backgrounds of those two men. Both of them are directors of football, or if you want to call them sporting directors, whatever title you want to give them. The reason why I always do that is because, believe it or not, I've been told off by someone, there's no such thing as a director of football, it's a sporting director, and vice versa. So whatever you want to call it, I understand it. Let's move on from that and let's not be petty, you get me? But both men have been linked with Chelsea Football Club. A quote has been taken from Simon Phillips, which I'm going to put on the screen right now. Bosh. Michael Edwards looks keen to go abroad, but apparently Chelsea are trying to persuade him to stay in England. Paul Mitchell is still a solid option at director of football. So I'm going to start off with Mr. Michael Edwards, who has just left Liverpool after being there for over a decade. Now, it is said, as you can see from that tweet, that he is keen to go abroad, but Chelsea are actually pushing to try and make him stay in England and perhaps tempt him with the project that we have at Chelsea Football Club, which does look very enticing. I can't imagine that not being able to turn his head with the new transition, the new owners, and the ambition that is in and around the club at the minute. So maybe he might want to be a part of that. But let's take a look at Michael Edwards first before we do get into Mr. Paul Mitchell. So I've just taken some snippets from Sky Sports on Michael Edwards, and we'll start with this one. Liverpool sporting director Michael Edwards has confirmed he will step down from his position at the end of the season. Edwards first joined Liverpool in November 2011 and has played a key role in the club's successful recruitment in recent seasons. He has confirmed he will leave the club when his current deal expires in the summer of 2022 and will be replaced by Deputy Sporting Director Julian Ward. So that's where he has been for the past 10 years, and if that's not a massive clue in itself as to how good this man is, then I don't know what football you've been watching. But the article does go on to say about some of the work Michael Edwards has done. Edwards has been a key figure in Liverpool's transformation from challengers to title winners both at home and in Europe. It is easy to point to his many success stories at Anfield, with the sporting director having played a big role in bringing Virgil van Dijk, Mo Salah, Alisson and Sadio Mane to the club. At the same time, Edwards was also integral in the sale of Jordan Ibe, Ryan Brewster and Dominic Solanke for a combined £57.5 million, helping to provide manager Jurgen Klopp with further transfer funds. The 41-year-old deserves praise for his creative transfer dealings, none more so than when Barcelona's long pursuit of Philippe Coutinho ended in his departure in January 2018. Not only was Edwards able to strike a £142 million deal for the Brazil playmaker, but he also inserted a clause that if the Catalans were to come back in for any Liverpool player before 2021, they would have to pay an £80 million premium on top of any fee that has been agreed. I think at this point, if you're asking whether this man's got the minerals to come in and do a thing at Chelsea Football Club, I think the answer for you should be a resounding yes. Are you hearing the names that this man has had a hand in bringing Liverpool Football Club? And as well, do you know what I find interesting about this? This is not just focusing on his incomings at Liverpool. It's also focusing on the outgoings. And that is very, very impressive. Because let's go through some of the names that he has listed there and how much he was able to sell these guys for a combined total of. Look, Jordan Ibe, flop. Ryan Brewster, flopped. Dominic Solanke, flopped. Obviously, these are some of these names you are very familiar with, but he got 57.5 million British pounds for these guys. Yeah, you got to put some respect on his name when it comes to outgoings, because we love to do that when it comes to Marina. When she gets it right, she gets all the praise, but she can be very, very frustrating in terms of holding on to players that she could have perhaps taken an L on. Hopefully, we're not going to see that with whoever coming in next, but Edwards looks like he's got the cojones, 1000%. He definitely looks like he's got the minerals, 100%. And also as well, the one that strikes me, look, obviously the price tag of £142 million is hugely impressive, but to add that clause in there and to make Barcelona agree with that, that is nothing but world-class elite. That just smells elite to me. So Michael Edwards, I would welcome him to Chelsea with open arms. If he's going to be working with Thomas Tuchel, working closely with him, and also being able to spot one or two gems, that will be great at a decent budget. Because look, we are trying to come away from the model of splashing ridiculous money on players and hoping that it's going to work out, rather than doing the meticulous scouting that these guys do. And really, you know, these guys actually scout with an actual philosophy. We're going to see that with Paul Mitchell, because some interesting stuff has come out about him. So quite similarly to Michael Edwards. So these guys have a full picture. And one thing that is said about the both of them is that staff do love working with these guys. They're very easy to work with, and they also do their best to fit the club's vision as best as possible. So any one of these two guys for me would be great. So that's some information on Michael Edwards. But the question does remain, how realistic is it for him to come to Chelsea Football Club? Is it down to just a case of Chelsea being able to give him an offer that he can't refuse? Well, if it is personal targets that he is looking at and he does want to go abroad, then it might just be more than that, and it might be quite difficult to get him at this stage. He's just come away from Liverpool, who are a Premier League rival, been there for over 10 years as well. So, you know, I can see him more leaning towards going somewhere abroad, but you never know. Hopefully, Todd Boehly is able to step in, give him an offer that he can't refuse, and we can go into the future with Michael Edwards. But that's the info on Michael Edwards. Let me know what you feel about him. Would you take him over at Chelsea Football Club, or should we leave the ex-Liverpool man well alone and look at other targets? Speaking of other targets, we are now going to move on to a certain Paul Mitchell. Yes, another very, very highly regarded man in terms of the sporting director / director of football role. I hear a lot about Paul Mitchell. I didn't know too much about him until today, because I have been looking at articles about him, and this one from The Athletic, I have to say, is very, very good. I'm going to read you snippets of it. If you want to check out the full article yourself, go ahead and do that. Obviously, I don't want to make this video too long, so I'm going to read out the bits that I think are important. The article is very detailed, so like I said, I'm only going to take snippets from there. But the first one I'm going to start with, it is in regards to his time in the Premier League, as you can see, and this is to do with his time at Southampton. So in the years that followed, he worked with Nigel Adkins, Mauricio Pochettino and Ronald Koeman as Southampton's established themselves in the Premier League. He organised the infrastructure and put the scouts in place so that when Adam Lallana, Dejan Lovren, Luke Shaw and the manager Pochettino all departed on the back of an 8th place finish in 2014, the scenario was less doomsday and more of an opportunity to secure the next wave. Mitchell oversaw the arrivals of Dusan Tadic, Toby Alderweireld, Ryan Bertrand, Shane Long, Graziano Pella, and perhaps most startlingly of all, Sadio Mane for £10 million from RB Salzburg as replacements. Koeman's team went on to come 7th in 2015. So, as you can see there, in terms of talent ID, yeah, and look at where he done it as well. Southampton don't have the biggest budget in the world, so you have to spend very, very wisely. The margin of error is a lot smaller at a club like that, because if it goes wrong, it can be a catastrophe. Like I said there, it's the difference between Premier League survival and getting relegated for clubs like this. But he did go in there and he done a fantastic job. Look at some of the names that he brought to the club. An early Sadio Mane, an early gem that nobody knew about, bought him from RB Salzburg. So it does show that his talent ID is brilliant. And another thing that I like to see as well, that, and I'm sure Michael Edwards will be doing the same, is that he does have his own people in terms of his scouting department that he will delegate in certain places, because he knows who is best for the job. And the advantage is that he's been working with the team for years. So will that spell the end of the liabilities that are known as Mr. Scott McLachlan and Ross Turnbull and co, all of these guys that need to get out of our club? Does this spell and smell the end for these man? I certainly hope so if a Mr. Paul Mitchell comes in. But let's deep dive into some more work that Mr. Paul Mitchell has done. We do know that Southampton is not the only English club that he has been at. He also did go to them lot up the road in North London. Following Pochettino to Spurs in November 2014, he secured Dele, that is Dele Alli by the way, whose candidacy was pushed by the club's former manager David Pleat for £5 million from MK Dons, and also brought in Alderweireld, Kieran Trippier, Son Heung-min and Victor Wanyama, all of whom proved integral to the team which challenged for the title in 2016 and 2017. Their quality easily counterbalanced those signings, the likes of Clinton N'Jie, Vincent Janssen, George Kevin Nkudu, who struggled to make the grade. So it is quite telling. His talent ID yet again did not fail him. Look at some of the names that he was able to take to Tottenham Hotspur. One of them standout names is obviously Son Heung-min, who is one of the best wingers in the world currently and is, in my opinion, the best winger in the Prem. I've got to say it, brother. Based on his form, he is that guy. But I'm never going to say it again. I'm just being honest with you. He's just absolutely incredible, and his record speaks for itself. But there again, you can see the job that he done there. Massive hand. You saw what Pochettino was able to do as well as a result of having that team as well. Obviously, not all down to Paul Mitchell. Credit has to go to the manager. Was able to take Spurs to a Champions League final. Was able to push a legitimate title challenge with them. That is the Paul Mitchell effect, people. Does he have the cojones? Does he have the minerals to come to Chelsea Football Club? I absolutely think so. Do some of you care that he's done work at Spurs? Let me know down there in the comments, because me personally, I couldn't give a shit. As long as he comes to Chelsea and pushes us in the right direction, that's all in the past, in my opinion. So we do know that he is currently working at Monaco, but he does have experience in other leagues, one being the Bundesliga. So this paragraph does say, Red Bull provided that platform with opportunities granted by the Englishman abroad to Ademola Lookman, a player Tottenham had once tracked, Patrick Schick, Nordi Mukiele, Danny Olmo, Hans Wolf and Nkunku. Emil Smith-Rowe played his first senior league football with Leipzig on loan from Arsenal in 2019. Plenty of the staff recruited by Mitchell are still working within the company's portfolio of the clubs, even if processes may have been tweaked since he left. More and more names there, more and more exciting names that are just coming up there that have been associated with Paul Mitchell. And also as well, he is leaving staff at certain clubs that are still continuing to do fantastic recruitment. Again, another name there that we've also been linked with this summer with a potential 100 million move, that is Nkunku. And I mean, these names keep coming up. Could you imagine the value of having one of these two guys at our club? Just being able to spot the talent early, being able to convince them of projects at Chelsea Football Club, being able to work so closely and intertwine with the manager just to get the ball rolling again. It's just really exciting to me. And both of those two as prospects sound massively exciting to me. But Is it likely that Paul Mitchell will be coming to Chelsea Football Club? I do believe out of the two, he is the less likely one. And why do I say that? Because he has come out and given his commitment to Monaco and has said that he does want to stay and oversee the project until his contract is over. He wants to do the best that he can, and he wants to leave Monaco in a better position than when he first arrived there. So fair play to him. He is a man of his morals. He does want to honour his contract and do the job he said he was going to do at Monaco, which to me is a very good sign as well. But will we be getting these two? Who knows? Maybe Todd Boehly can offer them something that they definitely cannot refuse. What we do know is both of them are English. Both of them do naturally love the Premier League and are open to coming back to the league. It's just about enticing them. Now, the last bit of news that I do have today is a bit of transfer information. Some of you did see the video of Ousmane Dembele being asked in the car whether he was going to be going to Chelsea, where he answered no, he's good at Barcelona. Now, we're going to apply some context to this. Now, I know it does come from the horse's mouth, but if you did see the live that me and Junis did yesterday, I gave several reasons as to why. I said potentially, you know, him and his agent have upset the club. They're not on the best terms right now. That might be the best way he thought to pacify the situation. Also as well, he hasn't had any like concrete offers apparently, according to some sources, for him to come out and say, yeah, I'm going here or there or whatever. But I don't know, maybe it's coming down to professionalism. But let's see what Mr. Ben Jacobs has had to say about this Ousmane Dembele situation. So he starts off by PSG's interest on Ousmane Dembele. PSG have not advanced their interest in Ousmane Dembele. Although it's very open to a move to the Parc des Princes, it's not currently an option. Also told, Barcelona remain unlikely despite Xavi's reported request to improve their extension offer. Thomas Tuchel is keen on a Dembele reunion at Chelsea. He's made that clear to the club, but no terms have been agreed yet. Dembele did tell a fan at a set of traffic lights he's staying at Barcelona, but you'd expect that since he has no other formal offers at this point. I'm told the situation will become clearer later this week. Barca are pretty frustrated Dembele hasn't committed or at least communicated his plans. So, is Barcelona staying up? I mean, wow, I'm not even going to delete that. Is Dembele staying at Barcelona? Well, according to the good Mr. Ben Jacobs, who's been doing absolutely fantastic work for Chelsea, by the way. He's been spoiling us. Yeah, make sure you do follow him. It's looking slim that he's going to stay at Barcelona. PSG not really pushing their interest, so it looks like Chelsea are the last man standing. So for me, I'm still very confident that he will be coming to the club, a free transfer, and I think that makes the signing of Raheem Sterling that bit more exciting. But you lot already know what I want this summer. My marquee signing, who I think will be key, and that is a Mr. Declan Rice. But we're not going to go into that. I don't want to keep this video any longer than it already is. I did not plan to go on this long, but here we are. Big up yourselves to everybody that did watch this video and did watch yesterday's video. If you didn't, I'm going to tag the video up here. I also went live with Junis yesterday as well. If you didn't check that out, make sure you do go and do that. Also, as well, man, make sure you do smash that subscribe button. Let's continue to build this community. We did hit one massive milestone. Let's hit the next one. You get me? Smash up that like button. Let's get us going in the algorithm again. And also, as well, leave your thoughts down there in the comments, as always. So, let me know, what do you think? Would you like Paul Mitchell or Michael Edwards at Chelsea Football Club? If it's not going to be the two of them, could it be, as we have been linked with the Mr. Andrea Berto over there at Atletico Madrid, and we have also been linked with the sporting director over at Sporting Lisbon. So who would you like to see come through the doors at Chelsea Football Club to take that role as director of football or sporting director, whatever you want to call it? Let me know down there in the comments. But wherever you are, whatever you're doing, please make sure you do stay safe, people. Bless up.